Let's talk to Peter Lloyd now, journalist and Sunday Times best-selling author. He's just done a report for the New Culture Forum on the decline of Liverpool. And I'm going to just play you a little clip before we speak to him. This is all about immigration, it's all about Islam, and it's all about asylum as well. Have a look.
But as I stand here today, the city is changing because the people are changing. In less than a decade, the population has been transformed through mass migration, creating some of the biggest demographic shifts in the UK.
And as we said with Jack Elson, the growing rage over migration is killing Keir Starmer and killing his Labour government. Very good morning to you, Peter.
Good morning, Mike. Thank you so much for having me on.
Not at all. Good to talk to you. I mean, I used to have this conversation with people, years ago when I would tell, political pundits, the biggest issue in this country is migration. People talk to me about it all the time. Immigration is a real worry, particularly in the inner cities of this country. And the politicians and some of the political pundits didn't want to hear it. They were like, oh, no, it's much more about the economy. It's much more about health. It's much more about wealth. And I was like, no, it's about immigration. Finally, now everybody seems to have agreed and caught up that actually immigration is the key now mover of every single conversation in this country.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think you were right from the very beginning. Migration, specifically illegal migration, is a bigger national emergency in this country than COVID.
Yeah.
I am 100% serious. It is a serious risk of breaking our infrastructure. It is at serious risk of causing a complete breakdown of the social contract. And as you noted with the other story about the shoplifting sprees, it's also causing disorder on the streets, and the police cannot cope. And absolutely, migration is the central issue with all of these problems.
Yeah, absolutely right. So in your particular report that you've done about Liverpool, tell us how Liverpool has changed then in terms of what you've seen over the past, 5 years or so?
So I am from Liverpool originally, but I've lived in London for the past 20 years, behind enemy lines, you might like to say. And I always loved going back to Liverpool, partly because it was never culturally enriched. It was always just Liverpudlian, and the people there were Liverpudlians. And I didn't have to deal with, Welsh choir boys and doctors and engineers. Right. And over the last couple of years, every time I've gone back, I've noticed an almost secret population explosion.
Yeah.
And first I felt it on like a visceral level. And then when I journalistically looked into the data, it was absolutely staggering. 20 years ago, the white British population of Liverpool was 97%. Now, 77%.
Wow.
20 years ago, there were 5,000 Muslims in Liverpool, once the Catholic capital of the country. Now, 30,000 Muslims. The black population in Liverpool has increased by 157%. None of this has happened organically. It's all happened because the Home Office designated Liverpool a dispersal area, aka a dumping ground for people who've broken into the country. And the locals in Liverpool, it's a small city, it can't absorb the numbers that London can. And it's struggling, you can see it's struggling. And there's some excerpts in the film, which I hope people watch, where, you see women and children having to confront migrant men who are assaulting them. I mean, it's horrifying. And yet there seems to be this media blackout when it comes to the local press in Liverpool.
Yeah, but that's the problem. A lot of the media is complicit in this kind of, as you call it, secret migration that's going on, because they don't want to talk about it. They feel squeamish about it. They don't like to actually have to admit that some people who come from foreign countries are not very nice, because they've got this kind of embedded view that everybody who's a foreigner is brilliant and fantastic, and it adds to the rich mix of the cultural, heritage that we want to change. And it's all complete BS. Frankly, because we can see it, in every single part of the country now. There's sex attacks going on in Bournemouth, in the West Country. You've got a sex attack that's going on in Epping, which is why there's a huge complaint going on there. In every single place where there's migrant hotels, there's crime. And why can't people just admit that?
Well, as part of the analysis for the film, I looked at the rape and sexual assault incident rates in Liverpool, and a couple of years ago there was about 2,500 sexual assault or rapes every year. Now, after mass immigration, it's almost doubled, Mike.
Right.
It's almost doubled. And yet the local media, the police, Liverpool City Council, they're all very reticent to join the dots. Because if they do, their whole ideological outlook collapses, and they're going to have to admit there's a problem, and they don't want to do that. They're all in denial.
Yeah. And do you think that's what Starmer's problem is that in his head, deep down, he is, because he's got a human rights background, he's a lawyer, he doesn't really want to admit what's before his very eyes, which is the country is collapsing under the weight of all this horrid, ghastly importation of crime.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like many people, he pinned his life, his career, his reputation on a Marxist ideology, and that is collapsing in front of his eyes, and he's in denial. And what I will say is that Liverpool's gone through a similar thing. Liverpool used to actually be a city that voted Conservative many, many decades ago. Then it swung to the left when it went through a depressed period. And while this film is obviously specific to Liverpool, everybody will be able to relate to it, because it's not just the story of Liverpool, it's the story of every city in the country, every town and village. This is a national emergency, and if we don't get a grip on it in the next 20 years, we are doomed.
Yeah. And what's the answer then? I mean, is the answer to root and branch just kind of go back in and go, sorry, you and you're out, you're going? I mean, how do we do it?
Well, I say this in the film, the first thing we need to do is to spread awareness amongst fellow people. So please watch the video, please share it. Secondly, we need to clamp down the numbers. We need to get the numbers right down. We need to have zero migration. Thirdly, we need to lean in to remigration. This is nothing new. It's not even controversial. The Labour government were deporting tens of thousands of illegal migrants every year. Even liberal Sweden is offering money for migrants who failed to assimilate to go back to their homelands. It's not unreasonable, and I think that is the only way that we are going to solve this problem, because not all migrants commit crimes, of course, but many of them have no desire to assimilate, and when that happens, the fabric of society breaks down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even this week we had the cabinet themselves talking about the worry that Britain was fraying at the edges. You know, they've almost recognised it. They get the fact that they've missed it, and they get the fact that something has to be done. But I'm not sure they know what to do.
Well, exactly. I mean, you only have to look at what happened in Epping to see, really. I mean, that is a metaphor. That's representative of the entire country. Yeah. No one knew how to manage that situation. The council kind of caved in and said, OK, we're going to close this hotel because we don't know what to do. The police are busting in agent provocateur counter-protesters. It was a complete mess. The people in power have no idea how to manage the mess that we're in. And it's like a tinderbox. And that's really why I wanted to make the film, because people need to be aware of the reality that they're living in.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, this isn't a great film. It's on YouTube, Peter. We can send people there and we'll get it out there and get lots of people to watch it. Thank you very much indeed. Peter Lloyd, journalist and Sunday Times best-selling author on the decline of Liverpool. But it could be any city in this country, because every city is suffering in the same way.